Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mad Human. I'm your host, Rezi, and we're going to break format here this week because we had one story that came through and just squashed all of the other stories. It's been quite a couple of days, let alone weeks here in the mad world of AI, which just seems to keep moving faster and faster and faster. I'm here to just be your Sherpa on this wild ride, and this week we are going to skip past most of the headlines and just talk about this one significant change in the way that people are generating images and video. Really, this week it's all about OpenAI releasing Sora 2. We're going to talk about how the web has been responding to it, basically like a stadium on fire. And we're going to do a deep dive into what Sora 2 does, what it means, the implications, the legality, and why marketers, advertisers, small business owners should care. And we'll go into where the dark edges are too. I'll weave in some of the best takes that I've seen so far across X, because as we know, that's where the first drafts of all modern outrage and joy both live simultaneously. So we're going to have some fun with it. Keep it locked right here on Mad Human. All right, let's get right into the bullet points of the episode. We're going to skip right past the headlines section for this week. We'll get into more of the news of the past week and couple of weeks on next week's episode, but we need to focus on Sora 2 today because it launched on Tuesday this week. Within 48 hours, it hit number one on the App Store. That is a crazy velocity, especially considering that it's invite only. If you haven't received a link to go and try it out, you're probably not a power user of ChatGPT, but just wait. They are going to start rolling it out to everyone, even the non-pro and plus users, hopefully over the weekend. Copyright battles are already igniting. OpenAI's opt-out policy for copywritten material has studios and creators alike up in arms. Social reaction has been split. Creators are ecstatic about the scale and the speed. Ethicists and critics are worried about truth and misuse. So let's get right into the deep dive. Sora 2 is like a sleek gadget that you didn't know you needed until it shows up and rewires your entire process and your whole operation. It's one of these examples that we've been talking about over the past months on the show about how AI is something that's making people anxious about losing, I think, individual jobs that carry individual skill sets. I think the big, concern for me is it's not going to be just one or two jobs. It's going to come through and one model change, one adaptation, one feature like Sora 2 can come through and just eliminate an entire swath of jobs at once. And we've already seen that, kind of in the past. We were talking about that with the VO3 Nano Banana model and photo editing. Now with Sora 2, OpenAI didn't just drop an update. They unleashed a creative bazooka. It's got the ad world scrambling, marketers salivating, and ethicists are sweating. It's not novelty, right? It's not a filter or a template. It was launched as an invite-only social app, as we already talked about a little bit briefly. The idea is that it generates 8 to 12 seconds videos that are often indistinguishable from real footage. Camera footage, film footage, novelty footage, believable lip sync, plausible physics, realistic lighting, synced audio and music, and this cameo flow that they've created that basically allows you to train your own face and voice into a model and then drop yourself into scenes. OpenAI's line on that, it's more physically accurate, realistic, and controllable than prior systems. And the translation here is it makes pro-looking clips in minutes. So why has the reaction been so ferocious? Let's look at what people have been saying on X. Some people are flat out cheering for it. Bill Peebles, I think it's Peebles or Pebbles. How do I pronounce his name? Please, somebody tell me. Head of Sora at OpenAI called it epic to see what the collective creativity of humanity is capable of. That vibe, the wonder and the speed behind it, it is infectious, but tech observers are geeking out on not just the capabilities. They're saying Sora 2 can handle styles really well, notably PS1 and 64 16-bit video game styles, retro aesthetics, in minutes, and designers are pretty stoked about it. Then the brakes come on, the caution and the anger, right? This raises some serious concerns. Inevitably, truth becomes negotiable. The potential for misuse is huge. It's reaching a point where I'm no longer confident I could spot this as AI. That's the systematic threat, I think, in a single sentence. I'm dropping these quotes because they show the split in one feed: exhilaration of the capabilities and potential, and the dread for consequence. They're both correct. Let's look at the business side mechanics of it. Why marketing just literally changed forever. I'll give you the practical axis of change first. For marketers and advertisers and creatives, this is really three things loud and clear. First, turnaround collapses. What used to take a freelancer or an entire studio a week, weeks, a month to produce in terms of a spot, that now happens in minutes with some prompt engineering and some context. So that means a massive flow of variance A/B testing at a massively lower cost. And just imagine localized hero spots for every zip code for a brand that you've taken on as a client. That matters because that personalization of those spots now goes nuclear. Second, just creative identity at scale. Sora 2 keeps likenesses, they keep backgrounds, images, products, text even consistent across edits, across contexts. Brands can preserve a face of the brand or a mascot look across thousands of permutations without manual art direction at all. And third, measurement and provenance, right, become product problems. If your campaign includes AI-generated content, you'd better be able to show where it came from, what your prompt was, how it was engineered, your Cameo ID, model version, approval chain. Without that, you're just operating blind, and you're going to open yourself up to some serious legal exposure. So the copyright cyclone, right? This is the other side of it. What OpenAI did and why rights holders are pissed. The part that's making law desks buzz right now at every brand and every creative warehouse and studio is that their policy, right, the practical policy puts the burden of the rights holder, or the burden of the copywritten material and the rights to that material on the rights holders, right? Copywritten characters are eligible for use in Sora 2 creations by default, unless Disney calls up and says that they need to opt Mickey Mouse out of your videos. That flips the usual permission model, and that's what it's been historically, is where we would have to go and ask permission and oftentimes pay a hefty fee to use copyrighted material. Now you're asked to protest after the fact. So what happens? Studios mobilize lawyers, the Writers Guild and unions freak out. They already are. Expect emergency takedowns, injunctions, maybe even preemptive lawsuits, arguing that the training or that training and public reuse without explicit license is unlawful. And it's not hypothetical. It's already happening. That's why the app isn't even available in the EU right now, as part of the training data lawsuit that's going on. People online are never shy about calling things out. Some are calling Sora 2 an imagination engine that collapses production timelines, and others are tweeting that Sora 2 is, foundational, primitive for generalized autonomous agents, meaning it's a base tech that other automated pipelines will be built on. And both, are true, and both increase the stakes, basically. So let's look at the deeper, darker part of this, right? Deepfakes stop being crude parodies from here on out. They become plausible evidence. Imagine a clip of a public official appearing to conspire in a dark room with plausible lighting, plausible audio, at a plausible location where they were known to be. The first reaction of the mass majority of people is going to be, they did it. Here's the proof. And I think that's going to happen quickly. I think the correction mechanism is going to be a fact check, a takedown, it moves too slow. We need to really start thinking about putting robust systems in place to protect the fidelity of actual reality at this point. CNN wrote bluntly that now, quote, it's a tool for unreality. And that warning that truth becomes negotiable, that's not melodrama. It's a practical risk for elections, for reputation, for crisis communications. Lawyers, PR teams, and platform trust units are going to be on the front lines here, and we need to act quick. This is the part where, we really have to pay attention about the use cases that are being, just developed out of nowhere for this. There are 3 tech responses that I think need to scale right now. First, provenance systems. Embed a viable chain, right? A Cameo ID, prompt hash, model fingerprint, something in metadata. And OpenAI has already hinted at this, at like a synth ID for images. This needs to be the standard for video now. Second, real-time detection. Use detectors that flag synthetic traits, and we already kind of have some of that in the works right now, but they're improving, but they're still very brittle. And that detection needs to be baked into publishing pipelines, and it can't be an afterthought anymore. Third, policy plus contracts. Brands and studios need pre-clearance flows, so if you're using a likeness or a character, you need to have consent typed, signed, logged. Don't rely on platform opt-outs. It's not going to protect you as a marketer or an advertiser at this point. With these 3, you're going to be in a better scenario. I don't think we're entirely going to figure out how to protect yourself from getting flagged, taken down, content removed, accounts suspended. But definitely without these 3 elements, you're playing whack-a-mole with litigation and reputational damage. And as any kind of firm that does advertising work, whether that be digital, print, terrestrial, it doesn't matter. If you're using this tool, you need to have these guardrails in place. Last thing before we pivot, I guess, there's a commercial upside for people who do the basics well. Prompt engineers who understand brand voice plus legal boundaries, they're going to be hired like mad right now. Agencies that build provenance-first pipelines will win huge enterprise budgets, and small businesses that automate compliant owned content channels will outcompete brands that don't. So as you know, I'm net bullish on AI in general because I think that ultimately tech amplifies intent. And if you design for trust, you can scale trust. If you design strictly for virality and to go viral on TikTok at any cost, you're going to scale in chaos. And this is where companies like my own, Eterna AI, this is where we come in. We're building custom AI agents and systems integrations for our clients with clear boundaries and accountability. And they're built from the ground up, right? Instead of building general purpose tools that can be misused in infinite ways, we're building specific solutions that solve real problems for our clients. And we do that with our own boots on the ground. So with that said, man, obviously your Friday High Five is going to be all about Sora 2. Going and finding out everything you can about it. Watch the demo, watch the creepy video that they created of Sam Altman completely with Sora 2 to explain Sora 2, very meta. Listen to Vox's Sora critique. There's a legal briefing on copyright opt-out. You can get 2 perspectives, creative and legal, through listening to that. Something to use, obviously do a 90-minute test if you have access to Sora right now. Maybe produce a couple of clips. Try it out. See what you think. Timestamp everything and run them through a detector like, Sensity. I just think, if you don't have access yet, when you do, it's going to take up some hours of your time. So ask your team, right? Something to reflect on. If you're working with a team or with some VAs, see if you can convince them that something that you created was real footage and not fake. Like a fake of our, CEO here who speaks and responds, and map that chain of thought for them and see who gets it right and who gets it wrong, who you can fool. Because I'm telling you, some of this stuff, I can't tell the difference. Actually, let's play a clip that's gone viral already of Sam Altman shoplifting GPUs.
Please, I really need this for Sora inference. This video is too good.
Yo. Like 90% of people are not going to know that that's AI generated. I guarantee you. And it's only going to get better. So, lastly, for your Friday high five, I guess share that clip. See if you can, figure out which one of your friends has an eye for AI generated content already. That's it for our episode this week of Mad Human. And, Sora 2 didn't invent the risk, it just delivered the concentrated form of it to the masses this week. So, I guess the play here is simple. Move fast on adoption and move even faster on governance. If you want the prompt checklist, the cameo consent language, or the 90-minute test template, DM me. I'm at Resiman, or you can email me at admin@eterna.ai, and I'll drop you the files. As always, thank you for your time this time. Until next time, cheers.